Hey folks, and welcome to my 2025 knitting plans video. In today's video, I want to talk to you about my make 9 plans, some intentions I've set for myself and some goals. Some of them regarding my stash, some of them regarding yarns I want to work with, some of them techniques or constructions or traditional patterns that I really want to try out. And then a few of them regarding my whips. So this video will also have all of my active, at this point in time, my active whips and some of my goals and intentions I've set around those. And then how I'm really planning more so the first quarter of the year. My make 9 is going to be a yearly thing, but I have found that if I'm making plans in winter, like at the beginning of January, I've sat down, I've written down some of I've written down so many of my notes in my maker's notebook that Sophia kindly gifted to me at Flock for like 2 years ago. I still have loads of space in here. I don't typically use this a ton for like knitting projects. I have kind of made a lot of notes on my spinning more so. Like I have spinning pages in here. And then some of them I haven't filled out completely. But yeah, I use this more so for the planning part of my making. So the latter part of it, for example, let me check out last year's page. So I've had my make 9 on this page also, and I kind of circled them out when I did them. Here I've got my tracker for my socks. And yeah, I've put in some cute stickers, but this is more so for myself. Like this is where I initially plan out all the things I wanted to make. I did some pre-planning for the cues of last year, and then some, 2024 more so concrete planning. And then I've also started tracking my, or like kind of scribbling down my 2025 notes. But I've also really been loving using Canva for all of my kind of visualizing goals throughout the last, I don't know, like how many years, like maybe 5 years. Really been enjoying using it. I also use it in my like daily job at the yarn shop, like whenever it comes to marketing. I really love that app. This is not sponsored, just because whenever I'm being asked, I have been asked this question so many times in the past, so I'm just gonna put it out there. There is a free version of the app which I personally use in my day-to-day life, but then I also have the paid for version for my job. Yeah, I do really highly recommend it. And I came up with a few like planning slides because I also wanted to put them on my stories, and I'm going to use those to kind of visualize my goals as well. But that is a lot of kind of explaining whatever I'm going to do. I'm going to start with some general goals. Then I'm going to go through my make 9, which is also, some of these things will also have something to do with my whips. I'm going to show my whips currently because all of them are something or some things that I really want to finish this year, and then they might stand for some more like broader goal. So I hope that makes sense. Thank you so much for your kind feedback on my everything I made in 2020 or I knit in 2024 video. I'm not planning on making one for my sewn items, though I was quite proud of everything that I accomplished at the sewing machine. For it being like my first full year of sewing, I've been sewing for like maybe like 1.5 years now, but it took me some time to get into it. I still only have my partner's mom's really old sewing machine, but it's totally fine. I would love to maybe get an overlock sewing machine for my 30th birthday, which is coming up in like 3 months. Yeah, I'm not sure. Sewing isn't my true love really, but I do really like it for the purpose of making my own well-fitting, like personalized clothes, and then for styling it with my hand knits. But yeah, just wanted to preface this make 9 planning video and like 2025 goals is that I'm already like recognizing that I don't really plan a lot for like summer knitting, because generally I'm more of like a cold weather knitting knitter. But then also obviously I'm not in the headspace to be thinking about t-shirts and tops and all that. I do have a few in plan, like in mind. And I also just, I think, have one t-shirt quantity in stash, so it does make up a ton of my stash or mind or planning capacities at that point in time. But I will be doing a few summer garments. My make 9 is generally more of like a cold weather make 9, and I think that's totally fine. Like, you make your make 9 what you want to make it, and I'll make mine the way I want to do it. How I use my make 9 is to kind of think about everything I've got in stash and my queue and my favorites on Ravelry, and think about what would really make sense in my wardrobe, and try and take some of the learnings from the last year into it. And there's one thing that I really wanted to make with friends, so I put it into my plans. So it is a broad range of things I really want to accomplish, because I really want to hack that like skill, or really get into that. And then some of them I just really want to wear, and then with some of them I just really want to knit with the yarn. And so it's a broad range of projects, and some of them I want to spin. So as you can see, I will get into it. So yeah, let's start with that. Last year I did accomplish 7 of my make 9, but then also like 40 other items. So I think for me it is more of like this is kind of like my capsule knit plans, and then everything else is a nice to have, or yeah, I also kind of want to accomplish. One of my more broader like goals for this year is that I am coming into 2025 with some 2024 whips, sorry, and I don't want to take any 2024 whips into 2026. So this is one of my general goals this year. If I do not finish it until the end of the year, and I've taken it into the new year from last year already, I'm gonna frog it. That generally probably mostly is directed at my tessellated cardigan, which I haven't really found to be craving to work on. And then my blankets I really want to finish, but I'm generally not one to have a lot of whips kind of lying around. I do have between like 4 to 8 whips at most times, though 2 of them are like big long-term blankets. But yeah, that was one of the things, is I think if I don't finish it like within a full year, and I've started the year prior, I'm probably never going to finish it. And so that is one of my hard and fast rules, is I'm not going to take any 2024 whips into 2026. So that's already kind of pre-planning until like thinking about the next year. I also do want to continue doing small knit-alongs with friends. I just really enjoy that, like having small-ish groups. I also enjoy bigger knit-alongs, but really chatting with some people, people from my membership, people that I've never really spoken with, but they have contacted me over Instagram and like asked to be part of the group as well. And then friends from far and near that I've met in person before, or several times, or have never met but have been talking to over the internet for several years. I just enjoy these like group settings where everyone's working on the same project kind of, and so I really wanted to continue doing that in the new year. I also, like I mentioned, have 2 blankets that I'm going to show you, which are both were started in, I think this one was actually started in 2023, and this one definitely was started in 2024. So I really want to and have to finish these this year. I'm going to show you the length that they have like gotten to. This is like half of the width, but this is more, I have no idea how to show this. This is how huge it is. And then, yeah, like I said, I'm holding it double, so it's like only half width. Well, yeah, this is kind of almost finished. I don't think I'm gonna make it a lot bigger than this. I think I've got like maybe 6 more colors in the basket that I'm usually holding it in, so I'm gonna put them in, and then I think I'm gonna bind off. And then there is the huge question of how am I going to wash this. So I'm going to put this here. I think this looks quite cute. And then my sweet shop blanket. Let me see how I might be able to show you this one. Wow. It's probably also going to be really difficult to show, and I'm going to leave it on my lap actually. And with this, I've got plans to finish up the last kind of row and column. So 14 more squares. This is a lot more work that needs to get still added, like yarn and work, like time-wise added into this, in contrast to my comfort throw blanket. That was modeled after like a pattern I got from a homespun house, but it's generally just like a specific like stitch count that I've got on my Ravelry page, and then I did it differently than the pattern asked for. I'm just doing garter, and then I'm trying to weave in the ends as I go. And if I can't do that because some of my scraps were under 10 grams, which is generally what I needed to finish like 4 rows, 2 garter ridges, and I only was able to, like with 6 grams, for example, holding fingering double or DK single, I sometimes had to just add 1 ridge, so 2 rows, and then I wasn't able to kind of weave in all the ends, like knitting in all the ends as I went, so I had to weave them in, and I just did that like every couple of like centimeters. And so that one, I don't think I'm going to add a border, but with the sweet shop blanket, I think, yeah, my goal is to add 14 more squares. Got the yarn for that kind of figured out. I'm going to trade some yarn scraps with a few of my friends that I'm going on a nitty trip with next month. I'm so excited for that. And I'll see if I'll just add in some of their colors. And then I think I'm going to add a I-cord border to this sweet shop blanket one. But yeah, those are my finishing plans, blanket wise. And then I've got a new blanket planned, which is generally also just going to be a comfort throw, meaning just garter, and then around like 200 something stitches, but I want to do it with mohair. And so these are some of my mohair scraps. Like there, for example, it's like a whole oat color sweater quantity that never came to be something. There are a few more like actual scraps. This is from my skirt number 1, and then there are a few that I've just bought on sale, like 20% off, because they were just single skeins, and we do kind of sort them out at the shop if there's only one of them left. And like we need to give out the right lot numbers for like sweater quantities at the shop, so we sometimes do have a few like leftovers. And so I was thinking about doing an oat color like throughout the whole thing, and then striping with a few of my favorite like colorful colors from the Knitting for Olive soft silk mohair. So this is kind of the palette, but then holding it with my leftover like hand dyed or non-hand dyed fingering scraps. So I think that's what's going to happen. Whenever I finish both of these blankets, I'm going to continue using my scraps, but instead of holding them double with themselves, I'm going to hold them with a mohair, and then trying to kind of do like a fun stripe thing. And I'm really excited to have a mohair blanket eventually on my couch. And with that, I'm also hoping that I'll be able to use more of these like 1, 2, 3, 4 kind of gram scraps, like leftovers from my yarn. Whereas with both of these blankets, I always try to use anything above like 10 grams usually. I also really want to continue spinning and knitting with my hand spun. I've got a few Make 9 plans that kind of fall into that, but I also don't feel like I'm going to spin a ton. It's not my main hobby, just like sewing isn't. I do appreciate and like it, like doing it a ton. I have one spin that I have planned, but haven't picked out a project for, and these are 2 yarns that I got at Rhinebeck, and I would love to spin them before potentially going back to Rhinebeck this year. This is an American Rambouillet from Little Fiber Co, and this is Pairs Well with Friends, which I think is such a cute name. And then this is the Kira Wiggins Freestyle, like a freestyle bat. And this is Shetland Merino and recycled sari silk. And I really would love to do a combination spin with them, or rather just like spin both of them in like singles and then ply them together. And I could totally see myself making a cowl or like a small medium-ish shawl, really depending on how much yardage I'll get out of this, meterage rather. And yeah, this is just kind of symbolic for my spinning goals. I don't think I'm going to do like massive amounts of spinning. Like I said, this is more of like a small-ish knitting goal, and then I've got a bigger one, and I'm not really planning anymore. I don't have a huge fiber stash. I've got maybe like 3 more projects, like small-ish quantities of spinning fiber, and I'm happy with that. I'm not gonna try and like make too many plans that I can't really like get to. So this small-ish spinning project and then a bigger one I'm going to talk about soon are going to be what I try to achieve this year with my spinning. I also want to continue and test knit relatively little. I think I've kind of went into test knitting and kind of fell in love with like being in group settings and learning so much from other people and like chatting with them, and maybe also feeling a bit special because I was able to knit projects that I really love the look of before everyone else. It felt like really special to be part of that experience, and I do still think it's a lovely thing to do, especially if you want to support the designer. But then again, I also said yes to a few test knits over the years where the actual designers asked me, and I'm kind of a bit of a people pleaser, so I don't really know how to say no a lot of the time. I'm working on that, but I really would never want to disappoint anyone. So I do think I said yes to a few things that maybe weren't really up my street, like construction wise maybe, or timing wise, maybe it didn't work out. And so I had to spend a lot of hours on stuff that eventually I wasn't using, or I even sold, or the style just wasn't something that I was wearing. So I have found with test knitting that usually most of the time, especially if it's like bigger items, it's not my favorite thing to do. I'd rather kind of sit with plans for a while, use the yarn I've bought, like most, if not all of the yarn in my stash, like except for maybe small-ish quantities that I usually sock yarn and then I'll just use them for socks. I've got most of the yarn in my stash. There is a plan attached to it, and I'm still excited to knit with that, which is also kind of going into my stash goals, which why the hell not, like just get into that. Currently I've got 58,676 meters in stash, which is an equivalent of 17 kilos. I don't know, like I'm not here to judge anyone else's stash, but I think it's also a very personal thing. I've read this book about stash this last year, and I really, really enjoyed reading it. I would really recommend it to anyone who's interested in like the general topic of stash, and how personal it can be. Like I said, obviously I don't want to glorify consumerism. This is part of my job, or this is my entire job. Like I work at a yarn shop, and I do content creation about or around knitting, and so this is my life. Like I spend most of my life thinking about knitting, like these last 4 years. So I think having a healthy stash, like being able to just pick something from my stash and go, is really beautiful to me. But I do also think that I'm confident and comfortable with how much yarn I have around me. I've done the math. I would be able to knit through it with how much knitting I get done day to day. Looking back at the last 2 years, I would be able to knit through my stash in like 2 years. So I think that is very manageable. I don't feel overwhelmed. It's nowhere near stable. But like I said, I don't want to be moralizing. Like you do you, I do me. Where I wanted to get at with that is that I'm actually very excited to knit with every single kilo of these 17 kilos. There are like 15 sweater quantities, or like I'm not sure about the specifics, but like there is a stash of sock yarn, there's a stash of like accessory yarn, and then there are mostly sweater quantities. And I'm still so excited to make every single pattern that I had initially kind of paired with the yarn or bought the yarn for. There is rarely something that I'm like looking at and then kind of thinking that I don't really like the idea anymore. And if that happens, it doesn't really matter, because I usually bought enough to be changing up plans. Like if I don't do that particular like cable sweater with my, I don't know, like 1600 meters of, I don't know, DK weight yarn or worsted yarn, I can do another one, like another cable sweater with the same meterage. But yeah, still, like putting it out there, I'm comfortable with my stash. I love all the yarn in my stash, and if I do not love it, I'll gift it. This is what we do regularly at my knitting circle. We bring the yarn that we're not excited to work with anymore, and then we exchange it, we gift it. I've sold, like destashed in the past before, and I'm currently at a point with my stash where I'm like very happy. That also means though that I'm not super looking forward to shopping right now, which I think is a good thing. Like I said, I don't want to be moralizing about any of these aspects, but with last year being very much, or the last 2 years being very much about going to yarn festivals and like exploring so much yarn, and then exploring at that point really meant that I was able to get it, and now I have it, and now I want to knit with it. So I think whereas the last couple of years it was a bit difficult to expect myself to be knitting more than I was kind of getting into my stash, I think this year, like 2025, is the year that I'll be able to go out of the year with less yarn that I came into the year with. I know that I'm possibly setting up myself for like scrutiny and like public criticism, but I need to say I don't really care. Like I said, I think you should be happy with what you've got. We can definitely be talking about consumerism and like the political aspects of it and like how privileged I am, like all these things I'm happy to talk about. But I do think it's a very personal thing to be kind of challenging yourself to. And I think it should always come from like within yourself to set your own goals. And I really feel the want and the need to knit more this year, knit more meters of yarn that I shop. That's just the goal I'm setting myself. I want to be stash neutral, or rather stash negative, by the end of the year, and I think I can achieve it. That might be January talking like out of me and I might bite myself in the butt later on, but honestly I'm really confident, and I do think that having this goal like long term is going to set me up for success, because I do think it's really nice to be able to grab something from stash, but I also would like to get to a point where I'm like more so able to also come up with an idea, think about what yarn to use, and if I don't find anything in stash, I could also get it without feeling like the heaviness sometimes of thinking, well, I've got so many projects I already want to make and I already have the yarn for, kind of making me feel that I shouldn't probably get more yarn. You know what I mean? I think that's enough for that topic. Tell me your feelings about it. Like I know there are so many different views on it. Like I said, obviously it's very much connected with privilege and like how much money you're able to spend on yarn, obviously. So I would never want to come across as braggy. Like if I'm sharing my numbers with you, this is me trusting you to be gentle and like kind with that information. You can have whatever feelings you want to have about it, and you can also write critical comments. Just be nice, just be kind, just don't be an asshole. I know I'm not one of the like YouTubers that has a huge collection. I know there are some out there who get a lot more crap. Like I don't think I've ever gotten a lot of crap for it. Like I do think there are a lot of YouTubers who have like thrice the amount of yarn in their stash, but also like let's just keep it nice is what I'm saying. But also please feel free to like share your feelings or views or thoughts about it. We can agree on that, can't we? I think we can. Okay, so with that comes the idea of making a make night from stash, which I'm going to share a bit more about in a couple of minutes. That is one of my goals as well. And then I do want to continue caring for my knits, which means I want to take them out, I want to air them out, I want to wash them, I want to depill them, I want to mend them, I want to give them away if I'm not wearing them. These are all ways in which I feel like I can care for the stuff that I've made. It's the same thing with like making pants, and then the seam rips, and I mend it, and then I wear it again. And if I'm not wearing something, I don't want to feel afraid of like giving it away. Like there are so many people in my life who maybe have recently also come into knitting, like trying to knit stuff, but who wouldn't be able to make like a cabled vest. And if I can make them so happy with gifting them the vest they can't themselves make yet, but I'm not wearing the vest, so for me it's sitting there and like mocking me and telling me like, yeah, you spent 3 months making me and now you're not wearing me. Like, I'm gonna take that energy, I'm gonna convert it into something really beautiful, and it's not gonna weigh on me, but it's going to feel really nice to gift someone something I've made with my own hands. So that's something I want to continue. It's not a new goal, it's just something I really want to continue, something I've done for the last, I would say, a couple of years, and that I would love to continue in the new year. So for me, gifting knits sometimes means that I've initially really made them for myself but never wore them, or they never really gotten the love that they deserve, and then later on I decide maybe someone else, like that cousin or my partner's brother's girlfriend really maybe would love that. So that's how I really want to look at it, and or continue looking at it. I'm going to get into a few more specific goals that really kind of didn't make it into my make now, just because I didn't have enough space in there. I would really love to make some traditional Selbu mittens. If you're new here, maybe you don't know, but if you're not new here, you'll know that I love quilt stars or quilt motifs in general. I've actually gotten a quilt tattoo this year, like last year. And pretty much, yeah, it's all over the place. If you see like my project bags, like I said, my tattoos, my wall, like my art around the place, even stuff that I've knit, the Stella quilt cushion, for example, that I tested, I think in 2023, must have been, for Laura Penrose. I just love those like star motifs, and Selbu mittens really remind me of that. They're a traditional like design. If I'm not mistaken, they're originally from Norway, but I think that most Scandinavian countries have their own set of like special or reoccurring, like always reoccurring designs in their traditional knitting. For example, the Marius design, which is these like X's and O's, is another thing that these are all things I've learned through the shop and like my very knowledgeable colleagues, and Sanders Garden leaflets flying around and them mentioning something about it. So I'm picking up a lot of things about knitting traditions and stuff like that over the years. And Selbu mittens, as far as I know, are from Norway. I think they also have something very similar in like other Scandinavian and northern countries like Finland. And like I said, I'm not claiming that I know everything about it, but I think it would also be very nice to be watching maybe some documentaries and YouTube videos about the thing, getting more knowledgeable about it while also knitting it. So my plan is to make some traditional Selbu mittens. I've actually already bought the pattern that I really want to use for it from Skane Deer, who's a designer and who makes a lot of mitten designs. And I really would love to use the Peer Gynt for it. Again, I got this on sale. These were single skeins, and I thought that they really went well together. And then a new yarn, I've actually not talked about this publicly on our Instagram. I'm doing the marketing for our shop, and the pictures haven't been posted yet, but we've now got Rauma Garn at the shop. I have really wanted for us to get Fivel and maybe even the Finot and the Vamps. We haven't ordered these, but we might. But the Fivel was one of the things that I really I wouldn't say urged my boss to get. She also had Raumagan on her like long term wish list for a long time, but I think where I was coming from with my, like, we're always talking about like what yarns should we try and get to the shop, like what brands and all of these things we're constantly like always talking about. And with the fever, I was just thinking that first of all, it's been having a moment, like so many designers have been designing with it. Like gauge is something that is really popular at the moment, like 16 to 18 stitches per 10 centimeters is something that a lot of the like jackets, like the Dagmar jacket, or more so like worsted weight sweater designs, like the staff and cardigan and vest and sweater by Rebecca Clow has been designed in. So I thought we need the like gauge to fill up a small hole in our collection of yarns that we sell at the shop. And then, like I said, I thought it had been featured and used quite a bit, at least in my like realm of the knitting kind of community that I feel like I'm part of. And then I have used Rauma before in the past, the finial to be exact, and I've made the hat that my partner like literally constantly wears. He rarely takes it off. It's his favorite hat, and I would love to make him another one, maybe in like a brown color, when we hopefully will be able to go to Denmark for our summer vacation. I really would love to grab a skein of finial on vacation and knit him another hat. That's the Bijou beanie by, I think it's called Vitre Design, but I'm unsure. And yeah, but if we get it to the shop, I might just grab it with my discount at the shop. I don't know. It's not that deep. We haven't received the white color yet. There's going to be another shipment coming this next week, so I would love to pair it with something similar, maybe a bit more stark white. So I have 2 sets of Selbu mittens in planning. I don't know if I need both of them, but I had this planned and then this one came around, and so I just have. I've been talking about this plant for a long time. Just wanted to share my love for the Rauma garns, and I know they're very popular, have been very popular at this moment in our community. So yeah, I just wanted to say that I also love them. I can't wait to knit with the fever as well. And then before getting into my make 9, my last goal, general goal, is making 9 pairs of socks again from stash this year. Last year I actually managed to make 10 pairs, and I've already made kind of a dent, or like started with this plan. I've cast on these pairs of socks over Christmas. These are the hedgehog fibers. I think it's called Renaissance. And then I started a pair for my partner with the Strickwerk 34 colorway. It doesn't really have a name, or it didn't say on the band. And I've only finished one sock, haven't cast on the second one, but it's in my favorite sock knitting bag. And with this one, I have started the second one, and this has been my like on the go knitting for a while, like just knitting on this while having my lunch break at work, for example. And I'm thinking about gifting these to my mum for Christmas this year. So my plan is not only to knit 9 pairs of socks again, but then to also gift more of them, because I do have a ton of socks for myself. It's not like I need anymore. I will still make the occasional like pair for myself, definitely. I'm not going to stop that. But and I will show you one of the plans, which is to make another pair of quilty cabin socks. I've made one last year. I felt like they became quite popular. A lot of people texted me that they were also making them after seeing them on my podcast. So I was very happy to hear that, obviously. Like, these things make me so happy. If I love something and then I share about it, and also more people get to it and love it, and I can make that kind of positive impact, like, I love that. But there were a few tension problems that I've had with it. My first sock, I was just knitting the color work way too tight. So I would like to remake them. This is the Archer and button colorway from Coast to Coast Yarn Co., who I'm an affiliate with. She's actually launching her second round of patchwork collection pre-order in like 2 weeks or so. I'm going to link her shop. I'm always going to have my affiliate link for her linked in the description box. So if you ever want to check Erin's work out, I love her yarn. Seriously, have been adoring knitting with it. And like I said, I've got some stash busting plans to make another pair of my favorite socks with her yarn. I think this combination will look fantastic, and I just want to really focus on having better tension on this pair. But yeah, you can check out Erin's work and hopefully grab yourself maybe like a sock set from her patchwork collection, which is what I'm going to do whenever she launches her 2.0 kind of collection. But yeah, generally with my sock making, I have laid out all of my hand-dyed sock yarn from stash. So I've marked the ones that Hannah's told me that he liked the look of, and I marked the ones that I really just want to make for myself. And then I marked a few more that I really would love to knit with, but I'm very happy to also give away. And yeah, there's just a few people I've got on my mind that I would like to knit socks for. First of all, my mom, obviously, whenever we meet, I think she makes like an effort to wear the hand knit socks that I made for her. And my partner, they're just very knit worthy, both of them. And I feel like I might make a few more socks for other people, but generally these two are very knit worthy, and I would happily make socks for over and over again. And that's why the first 2 pairs for this year will go to them as well. I'll probably hold on to them for like maybe a special occasion, maybe birthday, maybe Christmas. Maybe I'll give them to them like completely unrelated, just on a general weekend whenever I see them. I don't know yet, but yeah, the goal is to knit with my sock yarn. I've got about kind of 2 years of sock knitting in my stash, so the goal would be to also knit with that, not meaning I can't buy any sock yarn if I do want to, but I generally still want to get through the yarn that I bought with the intent of making socks. So these are my general goals. I might be forgetting stuff, honestly. That's just how it goes. I always remember stuff that I wanted to say, and then I just didn't. I forgot. But I'll get into my make 9, and I will be able to show you a bit more of the yarn as well. I'll show you the make 9. I don't know where I'm going to put it, probably here, I don't know. So the first plan you're going to see is the Traveler Cowl by Andrea Mowry. Currently, I think it's maybe the last week of the DRK Spins the Traveler, or Spins to Knit the Traveler make along, and this will be my 3rd Traveler project generally. Only the second that I will have spun for, but the 3rd. As you can tell, I love the Traveler series, and I'm planning on making this cowl with my hand spun Marlene Knits colorway from Yarn Jam. This is a kind of DK sport, like heavy sport to DK hand spun 3-ply that I've made with the last of my braids from Yarn Jam in my own colorway. Like I said, this is the Marlene Knits colorway. I think I'm wearing like the perfect sweatshirt to go with this, like this in my hair. This is basically this colorway. I feel like this is maybe the first time I'm wearing something non-knitted in a video, but I just felt very cozy. It's like Sunday, I'm lounging at home. I just wanted to stay in my comfy clothes. I don't know, I don't need to explain that, but yeah. These 2 skeins will hopefully be enough, I think, yardage wise, pretty bang on. And yeah, that's my first make 9 plan. Knit my hand spun into a Traveler Cowl by Andrea Mowry. My next plan is in one of my favorite project bags, this beauty. This is the Astrid sweater. I have cast this on last year, but I was only maybe like this far through the first like part of the ribbing in December. I think I cast this on. I have had plans to knit this for a while, but I didn't have the right yarn and stash. And then a lovely person on Instagram who helped me finish my partner's stick season sweater with some yarn, because she had the same dye lot of this woolly knit yarn that I was knitting with. She helped me out by sending me a bit of that, and then she asked me if she could also send me a cone in the colorway bronze of their merino cones, and the cone is up here, but I've obviously been kind of getting the yarn, like rolling the yarn off the cone and making them into cakes to knit with it because I'm holding the yarn double. But yeah, this color is just phenomenal. I can't wait to be wearing it, and I have made some pretty significant progress. This is also why I'm not doing a like regular podcast episode in the moment, because all my active whips will be featured in this episode. And I do have a body, guys. I just finished the neck this morning, and this is it. This is by Astrid by Knitting for Olive. So I think this is designed by Pernille Larsen for Knitting for Olive. This is the body. The like main design feature is this curved hem. This is, yeah, held the wrong way around, but I think that blocking will actually change this project quite a bit. It's still pretty like cinching in at the bottom. It's going to be cropped. I managed to, or like, I'm never super confident with knitting stuff bottom up. It's just not my preferred way of doing things. It was okay to do it like this, and I get why they designed it like that, and no shade, but yeah, I just prefer knitting top down just for the general sake of knitting things long enough, but also not too long, because I wouldn't want to be able, or would have to open this up again. So I try to shorten it by like a couple of centimeters, but not too long. And I've tried it on after Kitchener stitching the shoulders, and I'm so happy with the length. Like, I think if this just blocks out a tiny bit more so in like general like relaxing sense than in like lengthening terms, which I haven't swatched this yarn, and I don't know how it grows, but since it is the same yarn that I've made Hannes's stick season in, and that didn't grow a ton because it's more of like a rusticy merino, like natural merino. It's non-superwash. I found that this is not going to grow significantly. So let's cross our fingers, let's knit those sleeves, and let's wear it. I'm so excited, and I think this is a great color for me. What do you guys think? Please tell me it's a good color on me. No, I'm just so excited. And like, you'll see a trend, like a chocolatey brown is just my favorite thing right now. And I think this is going to be fantastic. Like, imagine this with this cowl, or another like little shawlette I'm going to make, or even this, if I spun this up and made a cowl, this is going to look so nice. Yeah, I'm just really happy. And yeah, like I said, I just finished the neck this morning while watching some trash TV, like catching up with the Kardashians. I don't know why, but I haven't watched the last like 2 seasons, and I haven't had the capacity up here to watch anything more substantial. So I've been watching the Kardashians and knitting on my Astrid sweater. So yeah, that's my second plan of my Make 9. My third plan was actually the small shawlette I was talking about. That would be like fitting with the Astrid color as well. And this is a poet scarf. This is one of the friend knit-alongs that I want to make. It's a Slavica Yarns DK yarn, and this is 60% superwash merino, 20% yak, and 20% silk. The base is called Mokosh. We have sold this at the shop, but then eventually Slavica Yarns decided not to sell through other shops anymore, but just dye for their own business. And so we sold them out, like we did a sale. I got this in the sale. It's a beautiful single skein. Actually, one of my friends from my knit club, she did a sweater in this colorway, which is called Dianthus, and it's beautiful. So yeah, I decided on this one actually with you guys' help. I've had a few options for the poet scarf, which is a pattern by Sari Northland. So yeah, this will be my first plan with hand-dyed yarn for the year. My friends gifted me this pattern for Christmas when they sent over a Christmas card, and yeah, I'm so happy to be knitting this along with the two of them. I'm actually going to be visiting them in 2 weeks. They're my friends from Switzerland. I'm going to visit them in Zurich again, like I did last year, and I'm just really excited. Yeah, I hope that we'll be able to make a good like dent into this project throughout the weekend that I'll stay with them, and then this will be our second knit along. We did some colorful speckled Hermione socks, and then this will be our second knit along. These are also my friends who are planning the Knit Fest, which is now funded. I'm so happy the Kickstarter went well. I will obviously go. It's going to be at the end of this year in November. That's one of the few events I've got kind of confirmed for this year. I'm going to be there, possibly going to teach a few classes or do something within that realm, which will be something new for this year. We haven't confirmed anything, but I've got a few ideas like 4 courses that I would really like to conceptualize and like come up with a plan about. So that might be something new in the new year. And whatever the case, I will be at Knit Fest, obviously, in November of 2025 in Zurich, and I would love to see you all there. So I hope you'll get your tickets and you'll be there as well. So yeah, if I'm talking about my Zurich friends, those two are the ones I'm talking about, Rebecca and Emily, who are the founders of Knit Fest. Okay, plan number 4 is also an accessory, and this is partly has the yarn been shopped for at the Woolliga Gathering, and it was also inspired by Scotland, a trip that I really loved to go on last year. Unfortunately, I won't be able to go back this year, but yeah, I still appreciated all the memories I've made there and the experiences I've had, and I did shop a few 25-gram mini skeins at the booth, at the Jameson's booth, and I got a few gifted by friends as well. So this is my color palette. I'm losing some of the shades, and I really want to make a Burra cowl. Like I said, everything's just tumbling down now. I put it into my Jameson's bag because I thought that was really cute. And the 2 colors that aren't from Jameson's are the Jameson and Smith one that I got from my friend Marla, who was destashing this, and then the pink is by the Mary Wallen brand British breeds that we had at the shop before actually selling it out as well. So this is my color palette. I'm gonna insert a picture. This is just a bit too fiddly, but it'll be in this Jameson's bag, and it'll remind me of Edinburgh, and it will become a Burra cowl. It's just tumbling all over the place. This space always looks so messy after I've filmed, and I always need to get it cleaned up like right after before sitting down to edit, because it drives me crazy. But yeah, getting back to the plan, I want to knit the Burra cowl by Mary Wallen. I've already bought the pattern. I've already curated the palette. It was inspired by Venetia of the Woolly Worker Knitting podcast, and generally this like experience of going to Edinburgh and going to Scotland for the first time. I've loved it, would love to go back. And I was able to try on her Burra cowl, and I've had like trying out Fair Isle and knitting something traditionally Fair Isle on my list prior to that, but that really, like, being able to wear her Burra cowl really confirmed my wanting to knit that as well. So that has been on my list for a while now. It was in my autumn knitting plans actually, but I didn't get to it. So that was one of the reasons where I was like, okay, I really wanted to make it. I just didn't take the time for it at the time. So I will take the time, make the space in my plans, and put it into my Make 9, which hopefully means that I'll get to it this year. That is the intent of the Make 9, you know. Next up is the Afterparty, which is a pattern by Bichet Bûche. This yarn was gifted to me by Bichet Bûche. So I've met with the people of the women behind Bichet Bûche a couple of times before at Barcelona Knits, at the Swiss Yarn Festival, and we kind of came up with a little collaboration plan where they kindly gifted me this yarn, and I were to make a sweater with it and share about it on the podcast. And I really fell in love with, I think it was Caroline, wearing the Afterparty at the Swiss Yarn Festival. And I was asking her about the pattern, and we talked about what kind of yarn would go well with it. And we came up with a plan of using the Le Petit Lamb's wool. And I decided on using the brown-red, or red-brown for the main color, and the beige for the contrast color. And I've actually already cast this on once before, but I've made a few mistakes, and so I had to rip it back out. You can see on this ball that I ripped it back out. I have rewritten the pattern to be top down because it's a bottom up construction, and with a color work yoke and like joining, like knitting sleeves bottom up. I don't generally see the advantage in that. If I can kind of reverse engineer it and knit it top down, I know how long to make it. And there's no shade on the pattern, it's just a personal preference. So I've rewritten it already. I just need to cast it on at some point, and I would love to do that. My friend Rebecca actually got the same yarn when we were at the booth. She got a beautiful like bluish, like crystal blue color instead of the red one, and then a more so whitish color instead of the beige. And so that might be also like a small knit along in the future. I might actually make a bigger knit along out of it. I'll talk to the ladies at Biche Bouche about this, but yeah, they're just lovely. I always love meeting them at yarn festivals, and like I said, they were so generous and gifted me the yarn, so this is gifted. So yeah, this will become my after party this year, and I'm very excited for it. I really love the very simple and elegant color work design on that, and this lives in my Biche Bouche bag and will hopefully be cast on sometime this year. And yeah, I really wanted that to become my Christmas sweater last year, so I hope to have it for Christmas 2025. Next up is a plan with yarn that I got at Rhinebeck last year. It's the North Bay Fiber Heritage Sport in the colorway Early Maple. I've got a cardigan quantity of this. I bought it at the India Untangled event, and I really want to make a calm down cardigan with this. The Calm Down cardigan is a design by Lily Kate France of Lily Kate Makes, and is a pattern that I was able to wear for a day when we went to the Belgian beach together and did like a knitty friend weekend almost a year ago, like in maybe like, yeah, not an entire year ago, but like in May, I think, of 2024. And when I was wearing Lily's version, I really liked the fit. It has taught me to kind of size down to not get the highest possible like positive ease. I think I wore her version, which is I think like size 2 or 3, and I will make that exact same size. I've already written it down like somewhere in my notes, so I will just copy her because that fit so nicely. I just love the fit. It was gray, so a light gray was a very classic look, but I think I'm more so excited even, I mean, thankfully I'm very excited about this yarn, to make it in this beautiful like dark red color. Can't wait to knit this. Again, I'm so excited about all my plans, but yeah, I have heard from other podcasters, especially Megan, who's a Naughty Mess. I really love her podcast, so if you haven't checked her out, please do so. She's shared a bit about her experiences knitting this cardigan, and she said that it took so long, but it was very much worth it in the end. And that's the general like consensus and like feedback I've heard about this pattern. It's like it takes a long time, but it's very much worth it. I think Ariel from Airy Knits has also made this, and obviously my friend Lily and a few of the other girls from this group of Knitty Friends, they've also knitted it at the time when Lily came out with it. And so I'm very excited about this. Lily actually kindly gave me the pattern to knit, which was so kind of her. And yeah, definitely check out all of her patterns and her podcast as well if you haven't. I think I mentioned that I was watching her Vlogmas as well, and I really like the very much like design focused, like her way of talking about the products, and the way she's talking about the designing journey in her videos as well. So if you haven't checked her out before, please do so. But yeah, this is going to become the calm down cardigan. Obviously this in like 6 or 7 other skeins. I've got more of this. And as far as I know, this is a non-superwash woolen spun, which she also recommended for the pattern, and which I found to make just a very bouncy, light, warm, scrumptious cardigan, like finished object. So I'm very, very excited about this. I'm like seeing all these yarns, and I just want to like combine them with everything. Like imagine this and like my Burra cowl. Okay, so my next plan is a part spinning, part knitting plan. And I've got the fiber here. I'm going to show you the fiber first. I want to spin up the Bow Layers Orchards Romdale CVM roving in the color light gray that I got. And then 2 at the Rhinebeck Festival, the New York Sheep and Wool Festival. And then I want to spin up these 2 bats. I am not going to take them out because that is just a bit too, I think they're beautifully packaged. I just want them to be in their packaging up until me prepping the bats to be spun up. But I'll show you or share more about them, and I'll insert a picture. They've been kindly gifted to me by Artifacts of Appreciation, and they're kind of like a Polworth silk Hanui and Polworth yak silk hand carded bats with hand dyed yarn, and they were, like I said, very generously gifted to me last year. I have not had the courage to be like, I was like, I want to have the perfect project for them. I want to get more, like I want to practice my long draw more before making them. And so yeah, I was just so up in my head about it. But they are in like a beautiful brown color, and I'm planning on spinning the bats end to end, long draw, and then plying them and doing a 2-ply, and then like doing that as my contrast color, and then spinning my roving by Bow Layers the same way, just like weighing it and then like spinning half for 1 ply and then spinning half for the other ply and doing a 2-ply. And then I want to knit the Hesper shawl with it from Amy Christoffers. I've loved her Hesper designs, or the Hesper cardigan is also on my to knit with list. I think it was kindly gifted to me from my wish list. It's not in my plans for this year, I don't think, but eventually. But the shawl has really captured my heart, and I can't wait to knit it, or to spin for it and knit it. So this is my big spinning project for the year. This might not seem like huge, like a huge plan, but like I said, I don't have all the time in the world, and I have tried to come up with realistic goals for this year. And like this being, for me, this is a big project. Now I really want to take my time. I want to try out like the long draw, want to practice that, want to more. I've practiced before, but yeah, I want to really take my time. And then maybe this could be my Tour de Fleece project again in the summer. But yeah, I think this spinning project, I'll take like the first half of the year to really focus on getting that ready, and then spinning it and trying like beginning to knit with it. And this might be like the plan I'm kind of most excited about, but it's also the most involved plan. So we'll see. I'll probably try and get a bit more easier plans in between, and then yeah, just see how far along I'll get throughout the year with my planning and with my knitting, the knitting of the plans. Okay, next up, I've got this beautiful dark orange color, and I've actually already swatched for it. The swatch is somewhere here in the back on my pegboard, and I've had this plan on my like wish list, to-do list ever since like before the pattern came out. It became a huge success last year. Obviously everyone knows the book club cardigan. Yeah, I just never gotten around to knitting it, so I really want to do it this year. I hope that seeing this color here makes you think like, oh yeah, she needs a cardigan in this color. I mean, at least I hope so. I think so. And I will be knitting it in the Solje by Hilsvåg. That's in a colorway cognac. And then it's a hand-dyed Surrey silk by Exploring Knits and Fibers. This was a, how do you call these? Like Leave No Trace colorway. And it's obviously a lot lighter, but this kind of gives it, this kind of mutes down this orange color, which I quite like. So I really want to make the book club cardigan by Sari Nordland, and Sari Nordland will be the only designer who's kind of coming up twice in my plans because of that, with the scarf and the cardigan. But yeah, I have just seen so many versions being knit up over the last year, and I really love the look of kind of all of them. And yeah, I have the yarn. I really want to make it. If I weren't to make it in this orange color, I adore the look of, I think, Jessica from the Twins Who Knit podcast. She made it in the Woolstock Worsted by Blue Sky Fibers in like a very dark green color, and I adore the look of that one as well. And obviously, so many people made very beautiful versions of that cardigan. And yeah, I really want to make it. I will be omitting the first button just because I've heard people say that kind of is a bit much. That is just a bit much. And also I only got 3 buttons for this project. Oops. Okay, one just fell to the floor, so I'll be only able to share 2 of them. They're from the Hollenhoof Farm, so handcrafted artisan buttons. And yeah, I got them at Rhinebeck as well, and I think that they go well with this project. Like I said, I've heard people saying that the cardigan tugs like a bit weirdly at the top, like that the uppermost button is just, they usually don't like button it up, and like they don't know if it's like the best looking. Like, I don't know, I'm not articulating myself in the best way right now, but I'm going to omit the uppermost button. And then yeah, I want to join these buttons. I have been thinking about maybe getting a ceramic like pencil, something to kind of permanently draw onto these buttons, and getting like some sort of brown or a different color to color in this light green, because I feel like this might be just a bit too funky for me. But I'll firstly knit the cardigan, and then I'll see if I want to change anything about these buttons, if the light green is just a bit too much for me, and if I want to kind of maybe color it in like a brown. I don't have any experiences with like drawing on ceramic. It was just something that came into my mind where I was like, that must be possible. Like, I paid quite a lot of money on them, and I love the Hollenhoof products. I was so happy to have found them at Rhinebeck this last year. And yeah, I'm just questioning whether I think the light green might be a bit too funky for me. If you've got any experiences like drawing on ceramic and it like staying there, like, I don't know, am I just like delirious? Like, should I just go with what I've got and like embrace it being a bit funky? I don't know. Let me know. Okay, and my last plan is another one I've already cast on, and I've had cast on for the longest time. And it's the 6 of Daisies cardigan by Lindsay Deegan. And this is how far I've got so far. This was or is a knit along, so this will be my next focus project whenever I finish the Astrid, or I might just knit on this and then the Astrid like at the same time, because this requires a lot of concentration. This is a stranded colorwork and intarsia colorwork cardigan that is knit in parts and sewn together and knitted bottom up. So there are so many things in here that I haven't done a lot or I have never done before. So this is my first intarsia project. This is my first cardigan that's been knitted bottom up. or the first one I'm trying to finish, the tessellated, is also bottom up. This is also with Snifnug, and I haven't made a garment in Snifnug before, only accessories. And yeah, so this is a very challenging project for me so far. I've changed a few things. So I think I had to change the needle size. I'm currently using 5.0 needles. I have not cast on the ribbing before doing the panel because I really want to finish all the panels and pick up the stitches and knit the bottom band like after the fact, because I think that'll give it a bit more structural integrity. I don't want it to flare out, so I appreciate a bind off in a ribbing more so than a cast on edge. Something I found with a few Andra Mauri project actually that were knitted from bottom up. And yeah, so far obviously I haven't worked on it a ton just because yeah, it's a very thought intense project, but also it's fun to knit on it. And I've made a commitment to be finished with this by February, like the end of February. So we'll see how that goes. I really like my yarn, the Snifnug. I didn't have to pay for this. It was gifted to me as part of the knit along through the shop that I work at, because I also work on it to take part in the knit along that's been hosted by the shop that I work at. So I hope that is kind of clear. I still put up at gifted because I didn't pay for this yarn myself, but it's also kind of part of the job, so I'll really need to get to it. I love knit alongs, but this is just a very involved, intense project. The pattern also was kind of gifted to me by a knitting friend of mine through my wish list, and yeah, I really want to get to it. I'm really gonna get more progress in it before the end of the knit along. Hopefully maybe have like, I don't know, the body finished at least. I'm thinking about maybe omitting the color work on the sleeves or on the back. I don't know why, but this just feels so intense and like such a huge project that I am kind of trying to find ways to kind of lessen my workload with this project. I just feel like so many evenings I come home and I just don't have the brain capacity to work on something like this anymore. So I really need to take time out of my like free days, like when it's light outside, and that's usually also where I'm filming. So yeah, some of these makes are maybe also in kind of, how do you say that? Like they're battling for my focus and like for me to knit on them. I mean, if you've got a few whips and a few plans, you can't do them all at the same time. So I really just need to get on it. This was one of the projects that I was thinking about when making the goal of not taking any 2024 whips into 2026. This and my tessellated. I don't know why I started like two very involved cardigan knits at the same time or around the same time. Was not the best idea on my part. But yeah, I did. So these are my 2025 Make 9 plans, and then some more general plans. Another thing that I've just cast on, and because I wanted to share all my current whips, I'm going to show this to you as well. And it's also in the Snifnug, so it's very fitting. I've got in one of my payouts bags that I got gifted by my boss for my birthday last year. Camarose have come up with some incredible new Snifnug colors these last few months, and so I'm knitting with mahogany for the main color for my 6 of Daisies, and then I'm knitting with the Kastanienbrün, or yeah, Kastanienbraun it would be in German, for this scarf. This was generally inspired by a person, a customer of the shop. She was looking at yarn. I was asking her if she used the Snifnug for the scarf that she was wearing, and it was just a plain and simple 2x2 rib scarf, but she had wrapped it around at least twice, and it just looked so cozy. I asked her if I was allowed to count the stitches in it, and I kind of made a mental note, and I kind of cast on round about the same amount of stitches, and now I'm going to make it so long that I'm going to be able to wrap it twice around my neck, and it's going to be the coziest scarf of all time. I've never made like a scarf like this, like just a regular old scarf. I've only ever made like triangular shawls and scarves and such. So this will be my first and probably only real like classic scarf, and it'll be so usable and like practical is probably the word I was looking for the winter. And then also I need something really mindless to work on while I'm at the cinema. There are so many movies that I really want to watch this year. I don't know if you're new here, you probably don't know, but I studied media and film studies at the like for my bachelor's and master's before starting to work at the yarn shop. I'm like a cineastic knitting geek. So I always knit at the cinema. So yeah, I'm very excited to have something so mindless that's just going like in the row. I don't need to look at it while like sitting at the cinema, and I can just like go on it, and it'll grow longer and longer. And yeah, so that's why I kind of cast that on while at work yesterday. But yeah, these were all of my goals or things that I know of so far. There might be things that I'll add throughout the year, and I'll keep you updated. Generally, I found that more so seasonally, like seasonal plans work out a lot better for me, other than like coming up with 30 things I want to knit throughout the year, like right in the beginning, and then following through with that. I don't think that's like ever going to happen. So you'll probably see a few like seasonal planning videos as well. Though I've also found that I do love them. I love watching them, I love making them. But then sometimes throughout the last year, I didn't always feel like sharing about it. So I didn't. And that's fine as well. Like I won't be committing to posting seasonal planning videos every time, but you can expect a few of them coming your way throughout the year. But yeah, then sometimes, especially for like, I don't know, if I'm just taking all my whips into the new season and I don't feel like planning a ton, or I don't feel like talking about it a ton, I might not, like, you know, post a video about it. But yeah, I hope you really enjoyed this. We're like this close to reaching 15,000 followers on this channel, and I'm like so incredibly thankful for that. I've also worked with a designer on my new logo. Her name is Risa, and she's from London. She actually offered a few months ago to work on my like titles, my chapter titles for the videos, and it was so fun to work with her on that. And she also helped me come up with a little logo for the Rhinebeck vlogs, and so it's been really nice chatting with her. And now we have collaborated and like kind of worked on logos for the channel together, and I'm so happy with the work that she's done. I really highly recommend, if you're like looking for someone doing your logos, to consider working with Risa. It's been a joy to work with her, and she's actually also joined my membership, which was so great. So we've been chatting about knitting as well. So please do check out Risa's Instagram and give her a follow, or her website, if you're ever thinking or having like any design work that you want to work with someone on. It was a joy to work with her. Again, can't say that enough. My new logos are all made by her, and I appreciate her work so much. And then again, yeah, if you've liked the video so far, please give it a like. Consider subscribing. I'm having a very positive outlook out onto this year when it comes to my making, when it comes to YouTube. I enjoy making these videos so much for y'all, and chatting in the comments. If you've got any comments on anything I've shared today, please leave them there. Any questions, what have you guys been working on while watching this video? Please let me know. And yeah, I want to thank y'all for watching, spending some time with me. I hope you're taking care of yourselves and those around you. I hope you're getting loads of making time, and I'll see you in my next probably regular podcast episode. Okay, bye guys.